Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles, your favorite true crime podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man that hopes the cost of living goes down, because he's not built for OnlyFans. It's Dale.
Good Lord, ain't that the truth? Yeah, that would be a disaster.
Oh, man. Do you think anybody would subscribe at all?
No.
You don't think so?
No. Not even me.
You wouldn't subscribe to your own OnlyFans?
I don't want to see that.
Man. Oh, the things I come up with.
I'm telling you.
What's going on today, dude?
Well, you know, same old, same old.
Same old, same old. Doing a podcast.
Getting ready to get her done, man.
Getting her done. Got a good episode today.
We do.
Yeah. You got anything you want to talk about before we get going, dude?
No, just a little action going around down here lately. What do you think?
I don't know.
We got all kind of stuff going on, but we don't know nothing.
No, here in Cleveland County, we don't know nothing. They ain't telling us nothing.
No, but we do appreciate everybody messaging us and sending us little side pieces and nuggets of information that we can't verify.
We can't keep up with it.
I know.
It is. It's hard to keep up with.
It is, and you just want stuff to happen, but they're holding it tight to the vest.
They are.
I think it is the vest. They ain't just holding it tight there. They ain't letting nothing out.
They ain't letting nothing out.
Which I get it. You know, we just get excited.
Yeah. But we are talking about a degree case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah. So
maybe
as of this recording, there's an investigation going on, and on something. We don't know what it is, but they're not telling anybody, so maybe we'll find out soon.
Right.
Yeah. I want to remind everybody to check out the store page, man. We got some hoodies on there. We got some long sleeve t-shirts people can buy because fall is coming, winter's on the way.
It's getting fair time, man.
It is, man, and something to keep you warm. Get you a hat to keep your head warm.
All that fancy stuff.
Yeah, some good stuff on there. And it goes on sale occasionally, so if you just want to keep checking it, and when it goes on sale, you get you something cool.
Or if you want to spend full price, we make an extra $1.
Yeah, and it whatever you spend helps the Crack House. It helps keep the light on, too.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. It sure does. We ain't like we don't need it. We appreciate it.
We do. And you can also go to Apple Podcast and leave a 5-star rate and review. You can leave a 5-star on Spotify.
And you can.
And you can actually comment on each episode on Spotify.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can also go to the website and throw something in the little gas money bucket there if you just want to help out that way, or you can either jump up and be a Patreon member.
Yeah.
We have a Patreon.
You get all your episodes on Patreon early and ad-free.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Dale, after this short break, we're going to come back and we're going to go on this episode, man.
Let's do it.
All right, dude, we are back, and, man, we are going to Texas.
Texas.
Yeah, we're going down to Texas on this episode, and, yeah, like I said, we got a crazy case, man.
Yes.
We're going to Carthage, Texas.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about Carthage, Texas, dude?
Carthage is a city and the county seat is that Panola? Panola County, Texas. And it is it's a East Texas city. It's about 20 miles from a Louisiana state line. Kind of population about 6,500.
So it's in the east part of Texas.
Yeah, right over near Louisiana.
Yeah.
Also is the home of the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame.
Man.
And the home of Tex Ritter and Jim Reeves.
Man.
Jim Reeves.
Like I told you before, we're studying this case, and this little community, that puts a notch up on my scale.
Yeah, man, Jim Reeves. Who don't love Jim Reeves?
Yeah, he's a good country artist.
I think him and Tex were in just a little community right outside Carthage, but we're going to make it count just because we love Jim Reeves.
Yeah, they're closer to it than we are, and we count it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Yeah, but we're talking today about a guy by the name of Bernie Tiede.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and just a little bit of background on Bernie Tiede. He was born on August the 2nd, 1958, to parents Bernhardt Tiede and Leila Mae Jester.
Leila Mae?
Yeah, but that's Bernie's full name is Bernhardt Tiede II.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's a deuce.
He was a deuce. And his dad, Bernhardt Tiede Sr., he was actually an immigrant to the U.S. from Ukraine. Yeah. And he actually immigrated to the U.S. in 1926 with his family. And he served as a professor of music and choral director at Our Lady of the Lake in San Antonio, Texas.
Talented fellow.
Yeah. And at Southern Methodist University in Dallas. And also at Kilgore College in Kilgore.
Wow.
And then he went on to McMurray College in Abilene, and where he served as director of the McMurray Chanters until his death.
Abilene's a good song.
Yeah. But getting back to Bernie the second, You know, he was born in Tyler, Texas, and he spent his earliest years there in Kilgore, where his dad was teaching.
Yeah.
And it was about a 45-minute drive from Carthage. Now, when Bernie was about 3 years old, they were in a car wreck.
Yes.
Yeah. And his mother got killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his dad, he took that pretty hard. He never got over that.
No.
He started drinking pretty heavily.
But his dad did remarry.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he never got over that. It did, like you said, it hit him pretty hard.
Yeah, I get that.
And he died when Bernie was 15.
Mm.
Yeah.
After a long illness, but I was wondering if it, just kind of grief and drinking.
Probably.
I don't, because I could never find out what the long illness was.
Yeah, that's all we heard was long illness.
Yeah, it's pretty sad though.
But Bernie, in order to support himself and his sister, Bernie, he took an after-school job at an Abilene funeral home. Yeah. First doing some yard work around the area and then helping out at the funerals.
Wow.
And some people say that it was really because of the loneliness he went through in his childhood.
Yeah. Yeah, that, it's because of that, really is more just he felt a calling to serve people and help them out when they when they were needed, because when you're in a funeral home, you really need somebody to lean on there.
Yeah.
It ain't never a good time.
But Bernie, he was popular in high school, and for kicks, he'd sneak the hearse out on Friday nights out of the funeral home and drive a bunch of people around Abilene, Texas.
That'd be cool.
That would be just so cool.
I'd like to have one.
Yeah. Have a hearse.
I always said that, but it usually creeps folks out, but I would. I'd so drive one around.
But Bernie was very popular around town, man.
Yeah.
Everybody just loved him. He was so outgoing, so social. And everybody loved him. He was just a good guy.
Yeah.
What everybody said.
Right. First guy walk up, shake your hand, ask you how you doing.
Yeah, he would.
And if you said you weren't doing too well, he'd always just stop and see what he could do for you. He was that kind of guy. It wasn't like, well, I didn't really want to, a lot of people ask how you're doing, but most people don't really want to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was not that guy.
And he would help other people with their tax returns, and he began buying so many gifts for his New Carthage friends that, according to some people, the UPS truck driver started arriving at Carthage every day with something that Bernie had ordered from a catalog. Very giving guy.
He's probably spending more than he should, didn't he?
And Bernie also received an associate's degree in mortuary science from McNeese State University. This is in Lake Charles, Louisiana, I guess just across the state line.
Right.
And worked at a funeral home in town. And in 1958, he came to work in Carthage, there in Texas. And he was living in a small apartment just behind the Hawthorne Funeral Home. And Dale, he was probably the most qualified man there to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for a young man, yeah.
Yeah. He would even wait on the families, and he would sing solos behind the screen during the funeral.
Yeah. Very, very talented.
Yeah.
He must have got that, from his dad.
Could have.
Yeah.
But Bernie was so talented. They had him doing other things too. He was in charge of hairdressing of the deceased and even doing the makeup.
He's also an embalmer, so he went from picking up trash in the parking lot to doing everything.
Yeah, cutting grass to
to being, because everything he did, and everybody just loved him. He was so outgoing and welcoming. Everybody just felt at ease with him, and then his singing voice was said to be spectacular.
And he was especially empathetic with older ladies who had just lost their husbands. And he would help them, there in the funeral parlor to just take care of them, give them a handkerchief or a Kleenex or something.
Right, hold their hand, whatever they needed.
Yeah, I mean, this just...
walk up, quoting scripture, everything, whatever they needed. He was just that guy.
And Dale, he even got to where he would go and pick up medicines at the drugstore for some of the widows.
Right, because, after... everybody needs somebody to lean on during a funeral and stuff, but afterwards, when it kind of dies down, that's when everybody seems to be forgotten, because then it sets in, and by then I don't want to say hoopla, but the thing where everybody's around kind of dies down, and then you are truly by yourself.
Yeah.
And then so he would take it on himself to go by and check on these people, anything they needed, if it was just a cup of soup or if it was to run an errand or pick up some groceries. He would go do that for these people.
Yeah.
Very giving.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So many, he was so loved that a lot of these older ladies actually wanted, had put, in that they wanted Bernie to sing at their funeral. He They just wanted him to sing them to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
They would put that in writing and say, when I pass away, I just want Bernie to sing me to heaven.
Man.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. That shows you how...
That's top shelf right there.
That tells you how people thought of Bernie, how well they thought of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody was saying, due to his childhood, he just thought he did so much for people
Mm-hmm.
to make them feel, because he never felt that way. Pretty cool.
Yeah. But there was a lady there in town who had just lost her husband,
Mm-hmm.
and her name was Marjorie Nugent. And Marjorie lived there just outside of Carthage, and she was born in 1915. Her father ran a grocery store. And Marjorie attended Louisiana Tech, where she met a man by the name of R.L. Nugent, who went by Rod.
Mm-hmm.
Rod Nugent, who had recently graduated from the school with an electrical engineering degree. And after their marriage, her husband Rod, he took a job with Magnolia Oil,
Right.
which later became Mobil Oil.
Correct.
Now, the two of them lived throughout Louisiana, New Mexico, and Texas, spending more than a dozen years in Midland, Texas, where their only child, Rod Jr., was raised. And in 1989, at the end of his career, Rod Nugent, the husband of Marjorie, he decided to bring his wife back to her hometown. And there he bought a controlling interest in the First National Bank of Carthage. And the couple built a big house, man.
Huge.
It was a 6,000 square foot stone home. It was out on the edge of town. And it was surrounded by a stone wall gate and electronic gates. So it was a pretty big spread.
Yeah. Well, they had a ton of money, man.
They did.
This place is basically one of the biggest pockets of natural gas and stuff. Oh, and that plus the oil. So they had just made tons of money.
Oh yeah, and the money they were getting just off the residuals was in the hundred thousands a year.
Yeah.
It was unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had plenty of money plus plenty coming in, even though he's retiring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Marjorie, she rarely left the home that they had just built. And it wasn't long before she became talk of the town.
Mm-hmm.
The curious neighbors, they learned that she refused to speak to her own sister, who was also a Carthage resident, and another sister that lived in Ohio. And because of an argument the two had back in the 80s over their dead mother's estate.
Good Lord.
Yeah, so the money it'll separate people.
Well, that and, arguments and stuff like that, it's never good.
Yeah.
Which kind of is odd to me. And I mean, I'm sure that Rod was thinking the best when he's like, well, we'll go back to where you're from and we'll build this house and we'll retire there. And then when she gets there, he's like, dang, you won't even go into town, So he's probably thinking, did I make a mistake here,
Yep. And Marjorie, she even had so many disagreements with her son. He actually became a prominent Amarillo pathologist, and she would only speak to him on occasion.
Man.
Yeah, and according to some of the locals, she acted as if she was too good for Carthage, Texas.
That might be part of it, too.
And they even said that she held her nose a little higher than everybody else.
Yeah. Now, that's coming from them, so
Yeah,
are they just looking at her like that because she's got all this?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I'm sure everything's got two sides here.
Yeah, she's living out on the edge of town in a sprawling estate.
What does she need to go anyway? For her house is big enough for the whole town to live in, almost.
Yeah, and it was reported that her husband Rod, he would go into town and spend money at local businesses and stuff, but Marjorie wouldn't.
Right.
She would go other places to spend her money.
Well, she might have been a little bit introverted, maybe.
Could have been.
And he was just out hanging out,
And some people say Marjorie could have been a little bit shy.
Could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was one time, there was a local veterinarian told Marjorie that he was going to charge her $45 to treat her dog, and she argued with him until he lowered his price.
Yeah. Even though she's loaded.
Yeah, millions.
And that's usually the way it is. Folks got a lot of money. That's the reason they got a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And even those people who are close to Marjorie, they admitted that she was imperious and critical and lashing out at whoever disappointed her. But a lot of this gossip about Marjorie was no doubt exaggerated, and she wasn't all that unfriendly, but she didn't go out of her way to be friendly.
Right.
Which can mean a lot in this small town.
Right. Well, maybe she had something to do. She went to go do it, and didn't mean she's going to have to stop and talk to everybody.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, her husband Rod, he died unexpectedly of heart failure.
Hmm.
And only a handful of people came to the funeral to offer their condolences.
Wow, how sad.
Yeah. And this was at the funeral home where she met Bernie, where he was working.
Right.
And Bernie would later tell other people that he could see the loneliness in Marjorie. You know, when she was standing there at the casket just staring at Rod.
Well, especially if nobody else is there.
Yeah.
You know? He's like, man, this is the lonely.
Yep. And during the service, Marjorie started shivering. Bernie noticed this, and he gave her his coat.
Yeah.
And at the funeral service held in the chapel, he sang a hymn and then helped Marjorie to her car for the trip to the cemetery.
Hmm.
So in the months after the funeral of Rod, Marjorie's husband, the only person who took any interest in Marjorie was Bernie Tiede.
Right. So he did basically the same thing with her he was doing with other folks.
Yeah, he would go by and see her, take her, I guess, fruit baskets,
Mm-hmm.
something to eat, just check on her, go by the estate, just checking on her.
Well, with, you know, the way he was and his compassionate nature, he probably saw that, you know, nobody showed up. So, you know, probably not many of the family, since she didn't talk to many people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so he go check on her. Figured she probably needed a friend more than anybody, really.
Yeah, that's right. So after some time, her and Bernie, they began a little friendship.
Mm-hmm.
They did. He spent more time with her. He would spend most of his days over there and just hanging out with her, doing stuff for her.
Yeah, whatever she needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Spending more, you know, on his days off, he'd hang out over there and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it was even reported that Bernie made her smile. He gave her the attention she wanted, I think,
Probably.
and had a good conversation and probably made her feel young again, because Bernie was several years younger than her.
Yeah.
He was. Yeah, Marjorie, she was probably in her 80s by now. And Dale, they even grew so tight that apparently Marjorie, she gave Bernie her late husband's Rolex watch.
Yeah.
It was worth about $12,000.
Right.
Yeah.
So she starts gifting him.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of working around the other way, you know.
And kind of like a startling act of generosity from a woman known as the Grinch in town.
Right.
Yeah.
The old miser.
And in 1991, Marjorie had ordered the officials at the First National Bank to accept checks from her account signed by Bernie,
Yeah.
so he could start handling some of her bills.
Yeah. Run errands for her, pay for stuff.
And when the teller asked if she was certain she could trust Bernie, Marjorie, she got kind of upset about this.
Oh, yeah.
And she even threatened to move all of her money out of the brokerage there.
Yeah. So, you know, you can either listen to me what I want to do, or I can take my stuff elsewhere.
I'll take my money and go.
Yeah.
But Bernie, he began spending his days off with Marjorie, which reportedly upset some of the town's widows, the other widows. Yeah.
Now they all going to be mad at her, because now she, not only does she not talk to him, now she's done took their little friend.
Mm-hmm.
And no, he doesn't get to go visiting them. She's taking up all his time,
Yep.
per se.
Yeah, but Dale, he got spending so much time with Marjorie. There were people that were looking for Bernie, and when they would find him there at Marjorie's house, she would just tell them that Bernie was in one of her bedrooms taking a nap.
Yeah, call over there looking for him. Have you seen Bernie? Yeah, he's in here taking a nap.
Yeah. And then the word got around that Marjorie and Bernie had gone on a cruise.
Yeah, this is something that she always wanted to do, but her late husband never really cared for it. So she wanted to go. She had the money, and she paid for her and herself, paid for herself and Bernie to go.
And she started wanting to travel,
Yeah,
go places and do
go
stuff.
do stuff, live a life. I mean, heck, here she is, 80 years old. Now she's got a brand new friend who don't mind going and do stuff with her.
Millions of dollars.
And she's got tons of money to spend.
Yeah, that's right. And there was even a rumor that they had paid Bernie to go with her, and the two of them even slept in a cabin together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and rumors started to fly around Carthage, Texas, man.
Yeah.
People were saying that Bernie was trying to seduce Marjorie Nugent.
Yeah. Or was she trying to seduce him?
Yeah.
Yeah, people talking.
Yeah, people were shocked
Right.
when Bernie was seen holding Marjorie's hand in town. But Bernie was quick to explain that Marjorie wobbled when she walked.
Right.
And I get that. I understand it, yeah. But Bernie was just taking care of her.
Right.
And people would say that Marjorie truly enjoyed Bernie's companionship.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But at the time, Bernie was hanging out with Marjorie and doing things with her, he was averaging around $18,000 a year at the funeral home.
Right. Not a lot of money.
No, not a lot. And Marjorie's money must have been tempted because she actually told him that he could quit and start to work for her.
Yeah, she wanted to pay him to come in and do a job with her.
Yeah.
You know, to be take care of her bills and do stuff, just be a caretaker, basically.
Be around the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, do stuff for her.
Right.
But it was pretty tempting, and Marjorie, she was making, like we said, between $200,000 and $300,000 a year in oil and gas royalty payments alone.
Yeah, not counting everything else.
Yeah, and Bernie, he was constantly behind in his American Express payments.
Well, buying all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
That, and he was back, I think he was behind in his taxes, about $4,000 in back taxes, and here Marjorie's like worth somewhere between $5 and $10 million.
Yeah.
Plus all these royalties she's got rolling in, so she wasn't hurting for money at all, and he was.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, you know, a lot of people are saying that he was there trying to get her money. I don't know about it.
Yeah.
But that's what everybody's thinking right now.
So this is what Bernie was going to do, and he started backing off his time at the funeral home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Cutting back.
Well, he's going to cut back because when she offers him a much higher salary to come be her business manager and go with her on these trips around the world, what do you think he's going to do?
Yeah,
I mean, just think about it. If you've been struggling all this time, and then you got a new friend here, whether y'all together or not, you're just doing this, and then she's wanting to pay for you to go everywhere, and I mean, who don't want to go everywhere and go, on these trips and stuff? So I mean, look at me like you won't, I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
The way I'd look at it.
Yep. So shortly after Bernie quit his job at the funeral home, he started taking care of Marjorie full time.
Yep.
And it was shortly after that, Dale, she changed her will and made Bernie the sole heir to her multi-million-dollar estate.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And Marjorie later told a cousin that she didn't want to leave a cent to her son or her immediate family because they didn't appreciate her.
Right.
Now, Marjorie even advanced Bernie some money, and he bought a 2-bedroom home. It was about a mile from Marjorie's estate, where he could stay.
So he could be even a little closer.
Be a little closer to her, that's right.
So she's reeling him in, or he's reeling her in. We don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
Or neither. Maybe it's just this lovely relationship.
And Bernie, he even replaced Marjorie on the bank's board, attending the meetings for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did. So this is how much Marjorie was trusting him. Bernie had it made.
Yeah.
He was living a dream.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And as Bernie's sister even said, for the first time in his life, he got to be somebody.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, Bernie even earned a pilot's license and bought a couple of small airplanes.
Or she bought him some.
Yeah, I think she paid for them with her money.
Sure, for sure.
Yep. But they got to taking vacations together. Together, Bernie and Marjorie, they traveled all over the world. They visited China, Egypt, and Russia. They flew to New York to see a new Broadway musical, and they sailed on the Queen Mary for Europe, and even returned back to the U.S. on the Concorde.
That was a big deal then, buddy.
Yeah.
You're riding the Concorde.
Be back in the U.S. in just a few hours. Man. So, Bernie was living a dream.
Yes.
Yeah. But Bernie paid the price. According to Bernie's friends, he had to have Marjorie's medicines laid out every day.
Yeah.
And if he wasn't at her house by 11:45 for lunch, she would become pretty frustrated.
Yeah, she had her, she was giving you all this, but she also had her list of stuff that had to be done.
Yeah.
She still had that iron fist mentality. It wasn't like she was getting soft, I don't think.
No. Yeah, I think she could be pretty rough.
Yeah.
But Marjorie would get kind of panicky if he didn't show up on time.
Yeah, she'd be calling that pager, and, until he arrived, he was going to blow you up. He wasn't going to just, blow off and go somewhere else. Especially now if she's paying you. I'm pretty sure she's thinking, well, I don't want to use the word own him, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. But Bernie, at this time, he became kind of like the town's Robin Hood. Unbeknownst to Marjorie, he started slipping money out of her bank accounts and giving it to anyone he thought could use help. He bought at least 10 cars for people who couldn't afford one, telling them to pay him back when they could. He even bought a home for a struggling young couple. He provided scholarships to students at Panola College, and he pledged $100,000 to a new building campaign at First United Methodist Church.
He's writing big checks now.
Yeah, big money.
Yes.
And he even led the fundraising drive for the Boy Scouts. So he's wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, he's all of a sudden Mr. Man now.
And it was one time when a woman who owned a local trophy shop told him that her business was failing. Bernie stepped in and bought it so that Carthage High School and youth sports team could get their trophies for another year. And Bernie, he was on a one-man campaign to improve
He spent
Carthage,
a lot of
Texas.
money. Yeah, a lot of money.
He gave away tickets to college theater productions and paying for the expense of choir concerts.
Mm-hmm.
And when a man once worked with him at the funeral home told him that he wanted to open a clothing store, Bernie agreed to fund it, saying that Carthage needed its own Neiman Marcus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, basically he's doing what he's always done, but he's using somebody else's money and doing it on a lot larger scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had, back when he didn't have anything, he had the heart to do it.
Right.
Yeah, even using his own money and, like I said, his American Express.
Yeah, why he's in so much debt, yeah. Yeah, now sometime around in 1995, Bernie had told his sister that he thought Miss Nugent was developing some kind of dementia, and that she had fired all the gardeners and stuff, and had him doing some stuff, and a lot of the flowers didn't bloom, so she didn't really care. Then she also had made Bernie buy a .22 rifle to shoot all these armadillos.
Yeah, it was a Browning rifle.
Yeah, they were out there rooting up her front yard, and apparently this is a big Texas problem, so it's nothing new here.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't. He wasn't much of a hunter type guy, because Bernie was a little. Everybody thought Bernie was gay.
Yes.
And Bernie.
He wasn't an outdoor guy.
He wasn't an outdoor guy, right? And then I don't know, just that kind of thing. But she made him do it, and she said, "You're gonna have to do it. So you're gonna get here and get rid of these pests out here and shoot these armadillos for me." So she was very controlling and get on him and stuff about it, and she would even give him a hard time if he missed them and stuff. So she was really, I think bearing on him a little bit here. Just and his sister's like, "Well, why don't you just quit?" I don't know. He said, "Well, I'm the only friend she's got. I can't do that. So I'm just going to stick it out,
Mm-hmm. So we're moving up to Thanksgiving of 1996, Dale. And this is when Bernie, he went by himself to see his sister, telling her that Marjorie had decided to spend the holiday in Ohio with her one sister that she was still talking to.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And at Christmas, Bernie decorated Marjorie's home, but again told those who asked him about Marjorie, he just said that she was in Ohio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And early that spring, he began telling people that Marjorie was in bed because of an illness and not accepting any visitors.
So it's getting a lot of little weird stories here. Huh?
Yeah, Marjorie's not being seen anywhere.
Right.
So by late spring, he said she was in a nursing home outside of Carthage, and she was recuperating from a stroke. And he even told one citizen in town who was concerned that Marjorie had not answered any of the messages he left on her phone that she was losing her mind and could possibly have Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, when Bernie was telling everybody that, Marjorie was visiting her sister or she wasn't feeling well, the maid kept coming to the house to clean the house.
Mm-hmm.
And Bernie, he kept giving money away for jet skis and pickup trucks to every student who performed in the Panola College production of Guys and Dolls.
Yeah, he gave every one of them a $200 gift certificate.
Yes.
To the Boot, Scoot, and Western Wear.
Man. And
so I guess he's funding both sides. He's giving them money to spend for a business he probably helped start.
Yeah. So in April of 1997, Bernie performed with the Shreveport Chamber Singers, and his solo rendition of Stephen Foster's Beautiful Dreamer was so heartfelt the audience gave him a prolonged ovation.
Mm-hmm.
And in June, he went on to Carthage Chamber of Commerce trip to Nashville to view a new Opryland exhibit honoring Tex Ritter.
Their own Tex Ritter.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when he made sure to pay extra attention to one of Carthage's widows who had come along for the trip, pushing her through Opryland in a wheelchair, people patted him on the back and said, "Good old Bernie."
Just good old Bernie.
Yeah.
Taking care of him.
Just doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loved him. So in early of July 1997, an unidentified Carthage woman called the sheriff's department and said she was worried about Marjorie Nugent.
Mm-hmm.
Had anyone there seen her lately? because of more pressing matters around town, the sheriff's deputies, they didn't look into this matter for nearly a month, Dale.
Right.
And Bernie, who they found in Las Vegas singing at a Panola College student's wedding, he explained that Margie was staying in a hospital in Temple, Texas, under an assumed name of Jane Doe, and didn't wish to be contacted. But deputies, they couldn't find anyone, that matched her description.
Yeah, that was kind of odd, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm sure they hit them crazy, but he was like, well, she didn't want to be bothered, so she went out of town to be in the hospital for this thing. She didn't want anybody to know.
So this is when they called Marjorie's son, who was in Amarillo, Texas. And when he came to Carthage with his oldest daughter to search the house.
Yeah, when they came in, they was looking around the house, and they knew when they came in that it didn't look like anybody had been there. It was kind of odd. And his daughter knew what kind of miser she was, because she had came up during the Depression, and she was not going to waste food. So they knew if she was going somewhere out of town, that any food that she had in the refrigerator or anything that was good, she would have put it in her deep freeze.
Yeah,
because that's what she did.
Yes.
So first thing she said, well, I'm going to go look in the deep freeze, and if it's all this food's in there, then we'll know maybe she is in the hospital.
Yeah.
So that's when they opened the door. It was in a little closet like room right off the pantry there. So it's not like it was in the basement or nothing. So,
yeah, just right off the kitchen area.
Yeah. So we go in there and opened the doors to the pantry and walked in, and that's when she noticed that the deep freeze had been taped shut.
Now, who tapes a deep freeze shut?
Yeah, nobody.
So they took a look inside this deep freeze.
Yes.
Yeah, and they just saw food in there, but at the bottom of this deep freeze, wrapped in a white sheet, underneath some frozen food, Dale.
They saw the top of
Marjorie's head.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, not wanting to destroy any evidence, the sheriffs, they ordered his deputies to lift the entire deep freeze with Marjorie inside onto a pickup truck with a generator to keep it going.
Yeah, so they could plug it in and keep it working on the trip.
Yep.
Yes.
And they took it to Dallas, Texas for an autopsy.
They did.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so the other deputies of the town, they began looking for Bernie.
Oh, yeah.
And they found him preparing to take a team of Little League baseball players and their parents to dinner.
Spending that money.
Yeah. And he seemed surprised that deputies wanted to ask him some questions, Dale.
Mm-hmm.
And with officers looming over him in a small town, at the sheriff's department, Bernie, he tried to keep his composure. But he got kind of nervous, and he finally commonly admitted to shooting Marjorie Nugent. And he said this happened the previous November.
Whew. So 8 months.
Yeah, 8 or 9 months.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah, and he said he used the same gun that she made him buy to shoot the armadillos.
Yes.
And when asked why he killed her, Bernie looked at the officers in kind of a bewilderment, as if they were...
If the answer wasn't obvious.
Yeah. At last, he said Marjorie had become very hateful and very possessive. And there was an uproar in Carthage over Bernie's arrest.
Yeah, not because she was dead, because he was arrested.
Yes. It wasn't about poor Marjorie, it was because of poor Bernie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bernie was so well loved, they couldn't believe that he was being arrested, man.
No, and when they arrested him and gave him a $1.5 million bond, a group of ladies tried to raise the money to get him out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even the reverend there in town was publicly praying every Sunday for Bernie. And yeah.
Then they added some charges on top of the murder, for stealing all her money and all this stuff. Forget him, and moved the bond up to $2.7 million. God dang, man.
But the prosecutor there in town, his name was Danny Buck, and he kept telling everyone who would listen, Bernie just duped a really nice, trusting town.
Yeah, he's just a con man.
Yeah, saying he was evil.
An accomplished actor.
And the IRS agents, they came into Carthage, Texas, to charge Bernie with money laundering, and it was estimated that he took more than $1 million from Marjorie Nugent.
Yep.
And Sheriff Ellett set off another round of fireworks when he said that certain Carthage men were seen in videotapes confiscated from Bernie's house.
Right, which did prove that he was gay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, soon there were rumors that everyone from elected city leaders to the state trooper to the sheriff's deputy had been seen on the tapes engaged what the locals' newspaper described as misconduct.
Yeah.
One man showed up at the Carthage High School football game wearing a T-shirt that read, "I'm the only one in Carthage."
Not on the videotape.
Man, that would be a cool shirt to wear.
Yes, it would.
Man.
Probably get something stirred up.
Yeah. And even some of Bernie's friends hired the famous East Texas criminal defense attorney Clifton Scrappy Holmes to defend him.
Yep.
He said, let's face it, Bernie's ox is in the ditch. And they were there to pull him out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. He is reportedly trying to discuss a plea bargain for Bernie, which would be just fine with Danny Buck, the prosecutor, who's worried about filing an impartial jury.
Yeah, because it's usually the other way around.
Yeah.
Usually, usually the people are, you can't find somebody that'll give someone who kills somebody a break because they all mad at him. But this is the other way around.
It's actually opposite.
Yeah.
They love Bernie.
They loved him.
Yeah.
It had to be, some kind of self-defense. It had to be some kind of, she just had to be on him or something, just make him do this. It's just unbelievable that he did something like this.
And even the prosecutor said, good God Almighty, do people really think Miss Nugent was so mean to him that he had to shoot her in the back in self-defense?
Oh, Lord.
But they did find out that Bernie had shot Marjorie 4 times, like you said, with that .22 rifle.
Yeah, in the back.
Yeah. But there were many townspeople wondering if Bernie suddenly snapped and had a psychotic breakdown, and they think he should plead temporary insanity. But this prosecutor, Danny Buck, assumes that Marjorie finally discovered Bernie was taking money out of her account, and that Bernie panicked and shot her when she said she was going to expose him. Yeah, he would take bank deposit receipts to her and show her, and they found those, and it looked like they'd been altered. Yeah.
But, she gave him all this power to spend what he wanted. I don't know, And
yeah.
If you have 10 million, what's one?
I don't know, man.
I mean, I'm sure she didn't authorize all the stuff because he was getting a little spendy.
He was.
Yeah, I mean, a lot spendy, I guess you should say. But anyway, I don't know. Let's keep going.
People were asking, why did Bernie leave Marjorie Nugent in the freezer for 9 months?
Mm-hmm.
And, Bernie was used to being around dead bodies at the funeral home for days, but the prosecutor, Danny Buck, admits that he probably never would have been able to find or file murder charges against Bernie if he had simply dumped her somewhere where she'd never been found.
Right. He just said he picked up 22 in the garage and started firing, and he dragged her into the kitchen, put her in the freezer, and washed the blood off with the water hose. And that's what he did.
Yep.
And just kept on going like nothing had happened.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah, like you're saying, people were saying, well, he had an airplane. Why didn't he just put her in the plane, fly her out over the Gulf, and drop her out? And you never know,
Kick her out.
Yeah, you'd never know.
Mm-mm.
But I just don't, he's not that kind of guy.
No. Even Bernie's sister said he couldn't be so cruel.
Yeah.
To even abandon Marjorie Nugent.
And I guess, working at the funeral home, used to, putting people on ice.
But getting back to Marjorie Nugent.
Of course, not in the kitchen, but.
Yeah. Marjorie did get a proper burial in a small rural cemetery outside of Carthage. Some of her relatives, who hadn't spoke to her in years, including her sister in Carthage, came for the service, hoping in some way to say goodbye to a woman they never really understood.
Right. And people were saying that about Bernie, about why he took her out and dumped her, and it wasn't that cruel. But he said, I just wanted to make sure she had a proper burial. Everybody needs a proper burial.
Yeah.
So even in this, he was still thinking about her.
Yeah. But there was a trial, and Bernie did receive life in prison.
Yes, he did.
And there was also Marjorie's son. He filed a wrongful death suit against Bernie, claiming that he'd embezzled more than $3 million from his mother. Now, shortly after Bernie entered the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in 1999, he was attacked by fellow inmates.
Mm-hmm.
And during his imprisonment, he was described by a prison's official as a model prisoner.
Yeah, he just started doing everything he always did.
Yeah.
He was teaching the health classes. He was helping with the prisoners' choir. I mean, just crazy. Like he never missed a beat. And he's just that guy. Mr. Charisma, apparently.
Yeah, just doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in May of 2014, a visiting judge named Diane DeVasto of Tyler, Texas, allowed Bernie to be released from prison that month on a $10,000 bail after his attorney, Jody Cole, had learned that Bernie had been sexually abused as a child for multiple years by an uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And his lawyer theorized that Bernie shot Marjorie while in a brief dissociative episode brought on by her abusive treatment of him.
So he's saying he's having flashbacks.
Yeah, and the theory backed by the forensic psychiatrist Richard Pesikoff. Yeah. And it has also been suggested that Bernie's handwritten confession, which was a major factor in the murder being considered first degree, was strongly influenced by the prosecution's threats of leaking private videotapes of Bernie.
They probably did.
Yeah, and when presented with the new evidence, they agreed that he had known this information in the original trial and would have sought a lighter sentence if it had known about
the abuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Marjorie's family, they learned about Bernie's release through media reports. And Marjorie's granddaughter, she expressed shock that him being released was granted and claimed that this guy by the name of Richard Linklater. Now, this Richard Linklater, he made a movie.
Right. Yes, it did.
It was a 2011 movie called Bernie.
Correct.
And he said this movie influenced the legal system.
Well, it may have. That's where, the lawyer was talking about. She saw the movie, and then that's when she learned about all the stuff going on, and that's when she's like, wait a minute, there might be something here to help this guy out. And that's when she went back that's when the lawyer started pushing to get him out.
Yeah, so that's when they got him out.
That's when all the abuse stuff came up.
Yeah. And between the time of his release in 2014 and his resentencing hearing in April of 2016, Bernie, he was living in Austin, Texas, in the garage apartment of the filmmaker Richard Linklater.
Yeah.
And he offered to assist him, and Bernie would even help take care of his kids, babysit for him.
Yeah.
Doing stuff around the house.
Yeah, he even done stuff to help him raise money to do stuff.
Yeah.
In that movie, Jack Black played Bernie in that movie.
He did.
And they even hit up a friendship.
Yeah. Jack Black, when he was learning this part to play this Bernie in the movie, he went to visit Bernie in prison to, I guess, see how he was and how he acted and be able to play that part.
Right. And then when he got out on bail, like they were hanging out, and even when Linklater was helping raise money and doing these things, even Jack Black and Bernie even performed together, singing together at these shows.
Yeah.
To raise money.
But what was great about this movie, it had some great actors in it. Shirley MacLaine was in it, and Matthew McConaughey was in it.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
They say it's a dark comedy. I have not seen the movie.
No, I haven't either. But I've seen clips of it. It looks like it'd be really good.
Right.
Yeah. So this Richard Linklater was so inspired by Bernie's story, and he made this movie.
Yes.
So on April the 22nd of 2016, the jury of 10 women and 2 men issued a new sentence of 99 years to life for Bernie Tiede.
Yeah, they tried to get him to sentence him as, time served or give him 3 years, which would have made it like 20 years, I think, which would have been like the second-degree murder charge. But they didn't go for it, and they still got him with the first degree.
They did.
And I think they said it was first degree because they were saying it was premeditated, but I don't know. But they said, even under some rules, if there's like a say if you shoot somebody and you take something or something happens and there's a break in the act, say, because they're saying that he shot her like once and then walked up and then shot her 3 more times. So if he would have shot her the once and then stopped, maybe they could have got a second degree of her not premeditated. But once he took a break per se and then continued on, then there's no way out of it.
But Bernie was even reported as saying that he'd even considered hitting her with a baseball bat.
Oh yeah,
killing her with a baseball bat, but he thought that would be too cruel.
Yeah, he couldn't do that.
Mm-mm. A week after Bernie's resentences, his lawyers filed an appeal to the court's decision, and in June of 2016, the 1997 theft charge against Bernie was dropped. And in August 2017, a Texas appeals court upheld the 99-year prison sentence. But Bernie, he resided in the Telford unit of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for at least 15 years.
Right.
As of 2021, Bernie was incarcerated at the John B. Connolly unit of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in Kennedy, Texas, for several years. And currently, he resides at the Estelle unit, and he is not eligible for parole until August 3rd of 2029, which will be the day after his 71st birthday.
Right.
So Bernie is currently the lead plaintiff in a lawsuit against the Texas Department of Criminal Justice regarding the lack of air conditioning in prisons, which is the suit estimates kills 14 inmates every year.
Well, that probably don't help him much, being the lead plaintiff.
No, it don't. But, you know, the town was divided between Bernie being a good guy or being a killer.
Right. Well, when you first read the story and you're first hearing about it, he's such a sweet person. You know, I mean, he's like, you know, like we said, he was a gay man, and he was just playing on that. And he was a super talented guy. But, you know, being in the super conservative little town there, nobody cared. But then when you look back at it with a different eye, like, well, was he playing these people the whole time? I don't think so.
I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel
What
about
I
it.
think is, like, I mean, he wouldn't have got himself in all that debt, you know, trying to help people out. And I think that his heart was in the right place in the beginning, you know, even helping these ladies and stuff at the church or at the funeral home and doing all this stuff. And then when he met her, and then she starts giving him all this money, then he might, I think he's just like, well, hell, this is where I need to be. But I don't really know what happened at one point, you know, where that made him click over to make this happen.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
I get you.
You know, they say she could be, you know, a pretty nasty woman. I mean, I'm sure you could put up with a lot for a while, but I don't know how long were they together before this happened?
They were together for several years.
It was several years,
Yeah.
right? And you know, they've been all this stuff. I don't know. And it don't make sense. You know, the thing that probably makes more sense to me is maybe she caught on to what was going on, and then he couldn't figure a way out of it. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think, you know. So I don't know. I really hate to think, because he's such a good person, or seemed to be.
Well, some people are saying that his sexual abuse from a child by his uncle triggered this abuse from Marjorie, and him being abused like that, it just put him over the edge, and he shot her.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I can see where they'll say that, but I don't know.
When you're trying to find a defense.
Before you hear about all this money he was spending on everybody else, and she didn't know it.
Yeah, that's...
And I'm sure when she found out, she was probably nasty.
Yeah.
Because here I am being so damn good to you. I've took you all over the world. I brought you into my house. I'm paying you. You ain't going to have no care in the world. You're going to get my whole damn estate. Everything. I'm giving it to you.
Just take care
I
of
give you
me.
my spot in the bank. Everything. Everything of mine is yours. All you got to do is take care of me and do what I ask you to do.
Shave my legs.
Whatever. You know,
Yeah.
whatever I ask you to do. And here you are giving away all my money behind my back.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Somewhere, that's what I think. Somewhere in there, and then maybe he just didn't. Now he's going to lose everything he had. He's going to be back to nothing.
He's not going to have that lifestyle.
He's going to have nothing. Yeah.
I know.
No,
He's going to go back to that two-bedroom house a mile away.
What that she bought.
Yeah.
So maybe not that either.
Maybe not.
You're going to go back to your $18,000 a year job at the funeral home.
Maybe she's going to take it all away.
Right. That's kind of more where I'm at.
Yeah, I see that.
I don't think he planned to kill her. I don't think it was this day we're going to do this and we're going to walk out and I'm going to shoot her in the back. I just think
he got caught and I got to do something.
He saw that gun. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Either way, she's dead and ain't no bringing her back.
But now Bernie did say in an interview on 48 Hours that when the cops came to get him, he felt a relief. He felt like there was a relief off of him. He'd been holding this.
Well, this super secret, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't tell so many lies before they figure out she's in the freezer.
Yeah. Felt like it was a weight lifted off
I mean,
of him.
he was telling everybody different things, and that small town, it ain't going to take long to, well, he told me this, well, he told me this, why is she here, why is she not going, why is she still with her sisters, you know, now she can wait, she's got dementia now, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Now she's in a hospital somewhere in a different name and 200 miles away from here.
You imagine if it had Facebook back then?
Oh, yeah. Good Lord.
Yeah, there have been people that had called him out quicker.
Yeah, it'd have been, yeah.
It'd been rough.
It'd have been a Bernie bash.
Yes.
For sure.
But anyway, that is the story of Bernie Tiede and Marjorie Nugent.
Marjorie Nugent.
Yeah. All right, dude, we're going to get out of here, man.
All right, let's roll.
We want everyone to be safe. Please be careful and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is
the
Crack House Chronicles.